tell me the whole story. Tell me from the minute that op became a sales qualified opportunity. Tell me about the sad part. Tell it to me like a movie. And if they can articulate that to me, that shows that they're really invested in this process that it takes to draw somebody over the line. If they can't articulate it to me, that to me says that they've been living in a sales machine.
Welcome back to another episode of the Revenue Reimagined podcast. While this is not going to drop on Halloween, we are recording on Halloween. We have a very special guest with us today. We have Lindsay Cordell, who is currently a partner at GTM Partners, which we'll talk about, who is a partner of Revenue Reimagined, whole lot of partner. Former VP of Enablement and Chief of Staff at Terminus, an expert in all things go-to-market, one of our go-to resources, and someone that we are stoked to have a chance to chat with for a little bit. Lindsay, thanks for joining us.
Oh my goodness. So thank you so much for having me. It's an honor.
I love that we get to.
Happy to have you here. It is less time I have to spend with Dale alone.
See, he just doesn't let me talk. So this is par for the course, but it is what it is. Cool, Lindsay.
I feel like you guys are the best comedy routine in sales leadership available right now.
I don't know if I want to be referred to as a comedy routine, but I'll take it.
Adam's definitely funny, so we can start there.
Looks aren't everything.
We're super excited to have you on the show, and one of the things, like, we've been talking for such a long time, and I know you're an operational maven. I think what I'd like to start the conversation with today is, from your perspective, you've done a lot with Terminus, now going into go-to-market partners. Where are people really dropping the ball when it comes to like operational excellence in the go-to-market space?
Yeah. So I think, first of all, I've been laying it out on the line a lot lately, especially if you work in technology or high tech software. I think our lives changed in November of 2022. Like, we talk a lot about COVID and the boom after COVID, but the fallout after the boom after COVID, I think, really changed the game in terms of what we should be tracking and what we should be paying attention to. I think our whole universe got turned upside down, and it's just taken a little while for us all to accept it. So first of all, I think there's a general belief that, we can keep going on the way we did before. And that's just not true. There's a lot more data that we should be mobilizing in a lot bigger way. It's not enough anymore to just look at your third-party intent data. I mean, it's just not enough. Everyone's looking at third-party intent data. It's not enough to buy Apollo and have a contact resolution solution that will tell you how many marketers work at IBM. Like, it's just not enough anymore. Everyone does that. And so I do think that where people are sleeping right now is they're not paying enough attention to their first party data. They're not paying enough attention to what's happening inside of their sales cycles. They're not listening to the new needs of their clients under this new post 2022 life that we're all living. And they're trying to live off of historicals that I just don't find to be all that relevant anymore, which I think that's the big shift that I've seen that it's taken me a minute to come to terms with. So I judge no one. But I think it's a big difference compared to back when I worked at Terminus and I helped run RevOps and Enablement, for sure.
It's funny. It's almost like what you're saying is nothing changes if nothing changes. And going back and doing what might have worked, in 2021, 22, 23 isn't going to work in the economic environment that we're in post-COVID. There's, we could certainly go down the rabbit hole of work from office, work from home, and what impact that has on, your organization. But when you talk about like what type of signals and what type of data to rely on, where are you seeing, let's step away from wrong, but the orgs that are doing really good right now, the orgs that are scaling, the orgs that are growing, what are they doing well that the other people are just like, either have no clue or just refuse to embrace the mindset?
Well, there's an element here of, I think it starts with pipeline development, like it all should, right? It's the people who could potentially buy our solution that we've been able to get in touch with. And I see the people who have gone through the effort to really redefine the MQL as marketers are wont to do. Sometimes some of them have relabeled it. the HQL, the high quality leads.
Ooh,
But the
interesting.
concept remains consistent, but it's the people who've gone and really reset and really paid attention to the detail of the pipeline they're generating. And then, especially if you're in a crowded market or you're in a complex B2B sale, not assuming that a lead or somebody's name is the same as somebody who's interested in buying something. And so the people who have figured that out are very confident their relationship with sales is a lot stronger. The sales team is a lot more confident. And I'll tell you what, I would rather have a confident sales team than a lot of other positive things inside of my organization. I want a sales team that believes that
Yeah.
when they call this person up that they could buy something, whether or not it's true, I don't totally care. But I think there's an element here of those are the guys that are winning, in my opinion. The people who are still too ambiguous about their ICP, that are their executive leadership is just saying 5x pipeline, guys, 5x pipeline. I don't care how you do it. I don't care where it comes from. That continued growth at all costs, let's play the numbers game kind of approach to pipeline. Those are the people that their win rate used to be 1 in 4, 25% conversion off of an SQL. They're looking at win rates in the 10%. 1 in 10 deals
Mm.
are winning. And just imagine, essentially what that means is that your sales team need to work 2.5 times harder than they had to before. And I don't know about you, but I don't see that ability of salespeople somehow miraculously being able to work 2.5 times harder. If you had a 25% conversion rate 3 years ago, and today you're looking at a 10% conversion rate, I mean, pure just like throughput is impossible to manage at that level. So I think those have been the ones that are winning. The other people that I love right now are the people who are very much paying attention to their CAC and their payback period at a segment level, not just our big numbers, not just what we're going to put in the board deck, but the people who are looking at, look, enterprise costs me this amount of money to generate that revenue. I get paid back within this amount of time, and the average lifetime value and expansion looks like this. I'm going to intentionally spend more time here, or I'm going to say, look, if stuff comes in, great, but the risk that I'm introducing into the business is not something I'm going to seek. I'd rather focus on my mid-market or velocity sales, or vice versa. But it's the people who are really paying attention to those numbers at a segment level and legitimately have a plan for going after that segment in the full go-to-market motion.
I love that. It's I want to circle back to the first one that you were talking about, like the 10% close rate, and having salespeople work 2.5 times harder to get that same deal close and throughput in the process. So what we're hearing, or what is being buzzed in the market, is great. We'll just use AI to do this 2.5 times more work. Talk to us a little bit about the right way to use AI within your go-to-market execution, and like what's not working well, which is really those people that are like, we have to do 2.5 times more, so we're just going to put more shit into the back end of this funnel.
Yeah. So I'm very bullish on the use of AI across the sales cycle. I mean, I've sat in over the years, enough meetings with us all like giving our opinion on whether or not an email was good or not to a prospect, that quite frankly, everyone ignored as long as the salespeople were selling. And then all of a sudden we stopped selling, and it's like, oh no, let's all talk about our emails for the next month and let's see if we can improve that. So I do think that where AI can help salespeople is in those time sucks. The other place I can see it is kind of dealing with some of the bias. I mean, when you're in sales, and I mean, I have been a part of this story, you have so much bias that you're introducing into the conversation that's so hard to weed out. That's why Medic is particularly powerful, because it gets you to stop feeling the sale and gets you to just like scientifically analyze where you're at with the sale. It's very helpful from that perspective. So what the AI can do is scientifically analyze where you're at with this deal and help with forecasting and help with behaviors along those lines as well. It's tracking things that the AE might not decide to put into the opportunity. So that's been really special. The other thing that AI can support, and again, I feel a little guilty saying this, but I trained, like, I kid you not, thousands of salespeople. And, I've always worked in ad sales. So it's been a lot of pretty technical actions that I've been talking about with my sales team, and there are many of them that did not grasp the whole truth. And so we had a lot of SEs that were very expensive, that elongated sales calls. And so I'm very bullish on these ride along solution engineer type bots that just know how the product works. So if the customer asks, does this integration do X, Y, and Z? The AI can immediately pull up that information and inject it into the conversation without an AE somehow becoming a product expert in DMPs, which is what I used to try and get done. I used to try and teach my AE to understand DMPs and all the SSPs and all of the other things that happen in ad sales. It was very complicated stuff. So I'm very excited about that. But at the end of the day, what wins deals is that human touch focus. And if an AE has to split that focus across 10 active deals, while, by the way, also simultaneously usually delivering a third of their pipeline, if most mandates are a third of pipeline, some of them are up to 50% these days if there's no strong inbound engine. So we're going to have them self-source. We're going to have them get intimate and familiar with 10 different accounts simultaneously, full on knowing that only one of those is going to close. It's an unmanageable amount of work, even with the improvements that AI can bring to the table.
I love how you talk about the AI solution bots. And I think some of the best technologies that I've seen, not even just on that side, but even on competitive nature, right? Like there's tools out there where if I'm talking to Lindsay about Riverside, which we record on, and I bring up a competitive, platform, boom, that battle card is going to come up and show me where we win, where we lose, and what to say. And not to say that you should not train your AEs and no one needs to be a subject matter expert and rely on the pop-ups on the screen. I don't think that's the case at all. But I think that using AI tools as described can greatly enhance onboarding time, product knowledge, time to value, speed to close, et cetera. And that is much more where I'd like to see AI go versus creating a cold email that starts with, "Hi, Lindsay, I hope you're doing well." And that is how they all start. Like you could spot these AI emails.
What are you talking about?
Because you delete it right away. So it's interesting. When you look at the orgs that you're helping at GTM Partners, and you look at the problems people are trying to solve, other than pipeline, and I'm a big believer that, and I say it all the time, a big, fat, healthy pipeline solves 90-ish% of your problems, right? But you have to let's stay on pipeline. You have to get that pipeline. And you touched on this a minute ago. Some people are required to, source 30%, some as high as 50. What's the ideal ratio? Like how much pipeline should an AE be responsible to go out and hunt themselves? People buy from people. That's why companies who invest in meaningful connections win. The best part? Gifting doesn't have to be expensive to drive results, just thoughtful. Sendoso's intelligent gifting platform is designed to boost personalized engagement throughout the entire sales process. Trust me, I led sales for a Sendoso competitor, and I could tell you, no one does gifting better than Sendoso. If you're looking for a proven way to win and retain more customers, visit sendoso.com.
I think this is one of, for me, the most common issues when we're talking about sales in general is this excessive oversimplification. So how many AEs do I need? How many accounts can an enterprise AE handle on average? Like I can give you average numbers from my experience all day long, but the reality is the way that I think about CAC is we're thinking return on investment the entire time. And so if I'm paying an AE $120,000 base with an expected OTE of 240, so they've got to make the rest up in variable comp. First of all, if I'm not paying them on pipeline, the odds of them doing that work effectively
zero.
So if I'm not going to pay them for pipeline, then I already have set myself at a disadvantage there. Part two is if I have the type of product where there's product market fit and it's a matter of, 1,000 people could buy this product today, I need to get in touch with 25 of them. It's product market fit and it's non-complex. business, then I would have an SDR do it all day long. I wouldn't want to pay my $120,000 resource to do that work. Now, when we start tiptoeing into niche industry, niche technology, super, your buyer, your decision maker lives on the C level. Like, if those are the situations, then I would be pushing into the AE role more. So whenever I'm talking to people about should I hire SDRs, shouldn't I hire SDRs, what should I do with my AEs, how much pipeline, I always come back to what does the CAC say? And if we're looking at a product market fit, $30,000 ACV product that I could pay somebody $70,000 to build that pipeline versus $120,000 to pay that pipeline, I would rather do that. Now that assumes, right, that we can get equal conversion. The one reason that I think people do push to the AEs building their own pipeline, or A, they don't have confidence in their ability to build pipeline otherwise, and B, I mean, the data shows that AEs are 3 times more likely to close self-sourced pipe compared to given pipe. But I think that's one of those metrics that when we look at the aggregate, well, what that says to us is, oh, we'll have the AEs build their own, right? But I think the reality is, let's maybe stop giving the AEs cruddy pipeline. And they might be a better, we might see that even out. So are we really going to assume that it's AE bias, or do we think that there might be something bigger happening with my pipeline development? I would love to see a normalization of self-sourced pipeline and, marketing or SDR source pipeline have similar conversion rates. I would be focusing on what the heck is happening there.
Yeah.
So, and that's why, and I hate, because one of the things that drives me nuts about sales is they're coin operated. We seem to have these tropes, like what a good salesperson is. And Gong's done an incredible job of giving us aggregate data. But, I talked to salespeople today that are like, yeah, you know what? I keep my talk ratio down to 30%. I'm amazing. I only talk for 30% of the call. So we've almost like sliced up the process, and they're not talking about deals they've won. If I ask an AE today, my favorite way of interviewing an AE, by the way, is not that you asked, is I ask them, tell me about a deal cycle that you thought was totally dead on the vine and you were able to miraculously revive it. And it's
a great interview. That's a great interview question.
Tell me the whole story. Tell me from the minute that op became a sales qualified opportunity. Tell me about the sad part. Tell it to me like a movie. And if they can articulate that to me, that shows that they're really invested in this process that it takes to draw somebody over the line. If they can't articulate it to me, that to me says that they've been living in a sales machine, that they're just there to take the call and to talk
Order takers. Dale and I talk about it all the time. You're not a sales rep. You're an order taker.
And you know how I feel about order takers. I think order takers are awesome if I have a huge inbound machine with product market fit and a brand that can kick butt. If I have that, I'm all about them order takers because I need it efficient. I want that conversion.
I'm Dale's order taker. He tells me what to do. I spin it up in the computer, shoot it out to him, and I do it. An efficient machine.
See, I love that for you. Like, I love order takers. I love paying them less. I love.
Don't say that. We definitely can't get paid less, Lindsay. Come on. Oh, I'm never going to hear the end of that one.
But for my sophisticated AEs that are expected to run full funnel motions, they better be able to describe at least one deal to me, start to finish. And if they can't, that to me is an indication that maybe something's gone awry there.
Yeah. Super. I love kind of where you went through that process. The interview question is spot on. We talk a lot about like go to market changes so quickly. It's changed. Like you talk about November 23, 22, something like that. How often should people be reviewing their go to market strategy? I feel like it's every 3 months because it's just changing that fast. But I'm curious what your perspective is after talking to a lot of customers.
The way that I would think about it is each go-to-market strategy, like you should know how long it will take to come to fruition. So, for example, if I'm building inbound from scratch, I have 2,000 people on my website today. My primary competitor has 400,000 people on their website today. Like, what will it take for me to get from 2,000 to 400,000 or even like 5x it? And then I would be like, do I actually have the time for all of that to develop? And then it's maintaining your conversion rates. And then it's assessing the quality of those conversions, and it's audience management. I mean, there's so much happening. So if it takes you 6 to 9 months to figure all of that out, what we can't do is start that project and at 3 months say, go to market motion's not working, I'm out. Right. So I would think about each go to market motion that you run. So let's say you're running event led, and event led tends to be one of the ones that gives you the most instantaneous gratification of audience like reception. So I went to a place, I talked to a person, I told my story, they nodded at me, we booked a meeting. Like that tends to be a lot faster. And so if I'm running an event led strategy, and let's say I go to 3 events in a quarter and none of them pan out, I would be seriously reconsidering. I would, maybe there's qualifying characteristics. I'm going to the wrong events. We sent the wrong people. You have to be able to read what's happening as to why there's failure. So, but I do think knowing how your audience wants to interact with you and keeping a pulse on that, I mean, that should be something that we're thinking about, to your point, Dale, like every 3 months. I want to know, is the intent the same? Is the interest the same? Is the website traffic improving? Am I truly touching these people? And if I'm not, I need to think about where that audience is and figure out how to get to them. So I would think almost like audience strategy should be something you're thinking about every 3 months, but the motions I would be evaluating on their own motion-based timeline. And so what's really annoying too, so inbound tends to take a long time to ramp, and a lot of junk comes through inbound, but the sales cycles are much shorter. Right. So it feels really good. The alternative is outbound. Outbound, it can take you can get into the right account relatively quickly, 20 emails, 10 calls, Facebook connects, get a warm intro, use a partner, all the things that we can do in outbound. But because they're not in a buying mode yet, unless you're super lucky, that could take 6 to 9 months to then come to fruition in a deal capacity. So there's the length of time of each go-to-market motion that is going to affect your sales cycle length, that some of it is danger, this is not going well. And some of it is yeah, I bet, because they weren't in a buying mood and I went after them and they never had any budget set aside. And this was never the plan to switch. So of course it's going to take longer for a salesperson to be successful. It doesn't mean you're not going to get either deal from either side, but it's just different.
Dale, you got all that?
I wrote down tons of stuff.
I ramble, y'all. I hope.
No, I love it. I just want to make sure that Dale is actually going to apply this. I think it's great.
I'm not telling y'all anything you don't already know.
That's
You're
not
telling
true.
Adam
That's
a lot
not true
he doesn't
either.
know.
I'm just the order taker, y'all. Lindsay, 2024 is coming to an end. 25 starting.
When?
The market's changing. There's, no matter which way things happen in a week, there's going to be political turmoil that's going to affect everything from sales to economics and everything in between. What do you see for 25? What's going to continue that we're seeing now? And what's going to change?
So first of all, I don't know about you all, but I get kind of sad at the end of a fiscal year, at the end of a calendar year. I think it's just years and years of sales of all right, guys, this is it. Quarters end and you're a little bit sad, but you've always got a little bit more. But this is the end of the show for 2024.
Yeah.
Which always tugs at my heartstrings a little bit. Are we where we want to be? Did we miss? By how much? Is it recoverable? All of those things. So I don't know if I don't even have that process anymore, but so many years in RevOps, that's all I can think about at this time of year. The one thing I will say is that people are behaving strangely heading into the election. So I do expect there to be some improvement of buyer morale in general. I think people are very nervous. They're very nervous about what the world is going to be. They've been told by the media, the world, and all the candidates too, the world will be over if I don't win.
It's the end of the world. Yeah. No matter who wins, the world's going to end.
The world's going to end either way. So why sell anything and why buy anything? So I do.
You got to get your commission before the world ends. You got to go out on a bang.
I won't even be able to spend it. The inflation will ruin my life. So regardless, I do think there's a lot of anxiety in this 2024 end that I'm hopeful will be like subdued by the time we get through Thanksgiving and give us the entirety of December to finish whatever business we want to close by the end of 2024. Fingers crossed, feeling hopeful. That being said, for 2025, I think the people who can calmly and rationally look at the reality of their current business and make smart decisions about pipeline, about staffing, about all of the parts of their go-to-market engine, I think those people are going to do really well, and they're going to have less like wacky interference from economic behaviors and things like that happening. I think the people that still don't have a plan at the end of 24 and who are pulling up their data from 23 or 21 and saying, remember when it was, remember the way it used to be. I think those are going to be the people that continue to struggle. And then if you're struggling in a down economy like this, not that the economy is down, but everyone's perception is if you're struggling here and money's not freeing up and you ran a business model where you needed your C round to keep the lights on, you're going to have to turn the lights off and someone's hopefully going to buy you. Or businesses will shut down. So I think it's going to be, I think 2025, you know, in my humble opinion, is going to be the year of the haves and the have-nots. There's going to be people that are doing really well and who are looking around being like, it's all better. And there are going to be people that are really struggling and are like fighting for extra money to keep their businesses open and not even sure why they're still fighting. And I think that's going to be really tough on them. So I think 2025 will be the year of the have and the have-nots.
Yep.
Interesting.
Totally agree. Should we start doing some rapid fire? See if Lindsay can handle rapid fire on a Halloween.
I have no doubt that Lindsay can handle rapid fire. All right, here we go. Lindsay, you can't be in tech ever again. You can't have anything to do that has to do with tech or marketing or sales. What are you going to do?
Oh my goodness. Something with kids, something with college education. I think I would love to be a college professor. I feel like I'm cheating because I'd like to teach marketing and sales in college, but
that's okay. The professor thing, I mean, not that you have time, but like the professor thing you could do like as an adjunct, like you could still do that.
I know,
like
I
that,
have
though.
college
Very cool.
in town. I don't have a lot of opportunity
Time.
spare time right now, but that is my retirement plan. I would like to go into
very
acting.
Cool.
So since it's Halloween, what's your favorite Halloween candy?
Reese's cups all the way.
Do you steal your kids' Reese's peanut butter cups?
Oh, absolutely. Especially if it's the pumpkin, Christmas tree. Those are mom tax, 100%.
I had it all planned to like go through Zachary's candy tonight. I too like the Reese's and the white ones, and the kid woke up with 101 fever, so he will not be trick-or-treating today, although he is begging me to medicate him and just let him go. But yeah, all about the Reese's. Early bird or night owl, Lindsay?
Normally an early bird. I will say, as of late, with the time zone changes, I don't know if this impacts you guys, but like my mornings have been a little sluggish. I'm looking forward to daylight savings
when it
time.
Doesn't get light till friggin' 7:30. Yeah, it's impossible to get out of bed. I'm with you.
Yeah.
But normally early bird. I like to hear the birds chirping, watch the sunrise, all that jazz.
What's the first app you check when you wake up in the morning?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, I'll admit I had to go on a TikTok fast. I stayed away from TikTok for a long time. I did it this year, and then it has a career advice and stuff on it, y'all. It's not just like teenagers dancing,
Adam dances,
which is cool. So I was super excited about that, but I had to take it off my phone. So now I'm like suffering through Facebook Reels instead as a poor comparison. But no, I loved listening to some of my career idols, if you will, talking about the right things to do in business. I found it very motivating to kick off the day that way.
I love it. What's the one thing you do to unwind after a long day?
A glass of wine, and then I just like watching my kids play. So I'm still in that like honeymoon phase where whatever they do, just to me looks magical. So
that's awesome.
I love it.
Let's wrap this up. Dream vacation destination.
So it's kind of changed recently. So normally Europe. I love Europe. I grew up in Europe, came to the US as a like competent human being when I was 15. So I love traveling Europe, but I really have been looking at Asia and India and getting Singapore. So I'd really love to see that side of the world. Who I've only ever seen it on TV for the most part. So I'd love to see India. I'd love to see Singapore. I'd love to go to Hong Kong. So I'm all about Southeast Asia and Central Asia right now.
Nice. Yeah.
Very cool.
My son wants to do that as well.
I did Thailand and Vietnam last year. It was incredible. Didn't get to do Singapore, but it was really cool. Lindsay, thank you so much for joining us. Y'all can go check out Lindsay on LinkedIn. Check out gtmpartners.com, correct? It's .com.
Yep.
All sorts of great information, playbooks, tips, guides, you name it, it is there. Thanks for coming and hanging out with us.
Yeah, absolutely. So teeny self-plug.
Yes.
GTMpartners.com. We also have a Substack every Monday comes out, and it's such a sounds like a cliche, but we're trying to democratize this information. So if you think about all the cool models that Forrester or McKinsey or Topo created, we are doing the same thing for the here and now, 2024, soon to be 25. So check out our frameworks, our models. I'm very hopeful that it will help anybody in the go-to-market team, from product to CS to executive leadership, run a much smoother go-to-market in 2025, create some calmness back in their businesses. So please check us out. We'd love to give you some free content, which there's not a lot of that going on.
There is not. Awesome. Lindsay, thank you.
Thanks, Lindsay.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you guys. Oh my gosh, it's such an honor. Thank you so much.